name is Logan Erisman, and this is my video journal on Puppies, Pigs, and People Eating Meat in Marginal Cases by Alistair Norcross. Alistair wrote this paper while he was teaching at Rice University in Texas. He got his undergraduate degree from Oxford University and his PhD from Syracuse University. A quick summary of the paper just to refresh your memories. He starts his paper off with this story about a man named Fred. And Fred has been killing these puppies and is in an animal abuse case because he lost his Kokomo gene in an accident. Fred's Kokomo gene is what allows him to taste chocolate, but since he lost it, he can no longer taste chocolate. And the only way to get more of this Kokomo gene is to torture and kill puppies and torture them for an extended period of time too. So it was looked at as very moral, which is why he's in this animal abuse case. In court, Fred says that he's done nothing wrong because these dogs are just animals, just the same as a cow, and for him these dogs are cattle because he's using them to produce this Kokomo gene that he needs. But Fred still uses this to defend his case because he says that the cow cattle are actually being killed on a much larger scale when he's only killing not as many puppies because he's the only one that needs this Kokomo gene, whereas everyday people just go to the store and get meat from these cows that are just slaughtered and kept in the same conditions that Fred was keeping his puppies in. But the main difference is that Fred was keeping these puppies in this condition because they had to be, whereas the people who own the cattle farms and make steak farms, they're keeping these animals in bad conditions just because there's no need to keep them in good ones because they're just going to be slaughtered anyways. Fred says that the customers are also aware that these cattle farms are overpopulated and run down and still will buy meat from the supermarket, so he doesn't see what he's doing wrong. Then the people come at him and say that Fred is the one doing the torturing, so that makes it much worse when the people aren't actually harming these animals or keeping them in such bad conditions. They're just buying the meat from the store, whereas Fred is actually producing this Kokomo gene and consuming it himself. The people also said that if Fred stopped, there would be no puppies dying because he was the only person who needed the Kokomo gene. But then Fred comes back to this and he says that if the people went to the store and decided not to get a steak, then this whole cattle production thing would still be going because just one person deciding not to buy a steak at the store wouldn't make any impact because it's on such a large scale. So Fred says that they're morally the same and that he should have no charges whatsoever. The people bring this idea of moral sensibility into mind where they're saying, yes, the animals are the same, but one of them is considered a pet, which is a lot more like a lot of people have relationships with, whereas cows are just cattle. Nobody really has a one-on-one relationship with a cow. They just get slaughtered and eaten. And then just another quick example of this idea of moral sensibility is that, let's say you're an adult and you're comfortable with swearing. Well, you're not going to swear in front of a kid, so you're going to have that moral sensibility to be a little bit more sensitive in front of younger people because their minds are still developing and they're not used to these hard words and ideas. And in the end, Alistair Norcross says that Fred and the cattle farms are both committing immoral acts by harming these animals, but they are considered the same since they're both cattle and animals are considered to be less than humans. So both parties are in the wrong, and Fred ends up getting off with no charges. And then I have 3 questions for you guys to think about. The first question is, do you think that these two forms of cattle production are morally the same, as Alistair says, or do you think that Fred is in the wrong by killing these puppies because of the idea of moral sensibility and that these puppies have a higher life value than the cows do? Or do you think that they're just it's both the same? And then on top of that, do you think that it's morally wrong to kill animals, or do you think that the whole slaughter and cattle production is an okay thing? And then my second question is, uh, do you believe in animal harm, or do you think that things should change completely, that there should be no more cattle production or slaughterhouses? And then my third question is, if you were on the jury of Fred's case, would you consider this animal cruelty, or would this be considered legal? Since Fred did say it's part of his production, as he considers these puppies his cattle, since he does need to use this Kokomo gene so he can taste his favorite food, which is chocolate. Thank you.